Alright guys, we're in for a doozy on this one. This one was a blast. So we have Omastar, level 35 against Loralee. We got good news, we got bad news. So the good news is Dugong is going to be locked in a rest cycle. The computer does not have PowerPoint, so in this game, Dugong will just use rest forever, which gives us plenty of time to set up our withdrawals. The bad thing, though, is that Dugong is stuck in a rest cycle. And we don't have any moves that are going to deal significant damage to the Dugong at level 35, so we pretty much have to use Horn Drill. Omastar has very good special attack, but its physical attack is not very good. Cloyster, we kind of run into the same issue. It's just too bulky, and at our low level, our special moves aren't doing anything to it, so we also do need to hit the one-hit KO there. And Clamp does a lot of damage to us, which we don't like to see, even though we do have a good special. But what is nice, we can go ahead and we can mimic Amnesia on the Slowbro. Now, I don't know what it is, but the Slowbro is getting critical hit water gun so often, and when you get a critical hit, it ignores all stat changes, so it's like I have no Amnesias up, which was really annoying, and it happened more times than I thought it should. But that being said, once we get Slowbro to just use Withdrawal, we can go ahead and knock it out in 2 surfs. Jinx is a joke. The only thing we don't want to see is a Ice Punch, because if we get frozen, that would be a big bummer. But that doesn't happen, and we're able to knock out Jinx in 1 hit. Up next is the Lapras. So you could try to go for Horn Drill here, but it's just not really worth it when you have this much health. You can go ahead and go for Surf. It's going to be a 3-hit KO about. We really just don't want to see a critical hit on a Hydro Pump. As long as we don't get critical hits, the Amnesias are keeping us protected. Again, Hydro Pump, just no critical hits. We go for Surf. So that is Loralee. This is, we got a critical hit. Ignored our stats change, but she used a Super Potion, which is great. And then we knock her out. Bingo. So this is a really fun run, guys. I'm excited for it. All right, we're on Bruno. We have the Omastar. We're about level 37. Yes, so I lost to Bruno, I believe it was 3 times before this. So we go ahead and we do the gain defense. That basically, if you're new, that helps us against pretty much every Pokemon that Bruno has. Even if we lose our badge boost, the defense is good because Hitmonchan is the only one with special moves. So as long as we don't get hit by a Thunder Punch, we're looking pretty good. So we are also using Withdrawal to gain speed as well as defense, because we do want to outspeed the Hitmonchan, because that Thunder Punch is not fun to be around. And with all of our little boosting, Hitmonchan is going to be an easy 1-hit KO. But we will level up, which is a little unfortunate, because, I mean, it was going to happen at some point, so it is what it is. But the Hitmonlee is going to outspeed us. I had rounds where it did not use X defense, and it did quite a bit of damage to us, which wasn't great. But we get lucky. Bruno just wants to do nothing today, I guess. He's taking the day off, so he's just using some X defense that does absolutely nothing. Out next is going to be the Onyx. He is even easier than the first one, because all we need to do is Surf, because there really is nothing else to do. And now the Machamp is also not free. I lost to the Machamp on a couple times, but Bruno just loves X defense today. Today is an X defend type of day. But you can see how little damage we do, so there's plenty of opportunity for the Machamp to do something back to us. We get a nice little critical hit there that really helped us out, and then we were able to knock him out. So thank you, Bruno. But again, this one was not free. I did lose to Bruno a couple times, so it was good to see Bruno somewhat getting after it. Okay, so Agatha was a pain. This is honestly what took this run so long, was I was stuck on Agatha forever, because what basically it came down to is I have to get the freeze on the Gengar. I do want to set up some withdrawals. I want to do that because then it basically makes the Golbat and the Arbok free, because their defense will be so good. I also need to mimic Hypnosis, and if I'm over here trying to withdraw, trying to mimic, that just gives Gengar too much freedom to do his shenanigans on me. And we can't set up on the Golbat, because Golbat will every so often use Haze, which is basically just going to get rid of all of our stat boosting, and we don't want to see that. I went for Ice Beam to try to get the 1-hit KO, but it wasn't a big deal at this point. But what happens if you knock out the Golbat, Gengar comes in, you're setting up, she might swap into the Haunter. So once we get back to the Gengar, we're going to go ahead and just knock it out with Surf. Well, a couple Surfs, and then out will come the Haunter. We're only level 39, and if you look at our HP, it's only about 3 Nightshades until that we can take, and that's assuming we don't get hit by anything else. So we go ahead and we use Hypnosis to put the Haunter to sleep, just because we don't want it playing around with us either. And going for another freeze chance at this late in the stage. It was hard enough to get the first one going, so I just said we're going to go for the sleep. We get lucky that Haunter just wants to use Dream Eater all day and doesn't do anything for or to us. So I'm feeling pretty good going into the last two Pokemon here. Again, Arbok is really can't do a whole lot, but we get a nice switch here, which gives us one extra free hit on the Gengar, and it was a critical. I do go for Hypnosis because I do want to try to put it out. It gets a poison off on me, which honestly could have been a little nerve-wracking, but it didn't end up really doing anything, so probably better than Nightshade anyway. We hit with another Surf, get hit by poison, so we see nothing terrible to happen, but it's asleep, so nothing terrible really can happen. So at this point, we're feeling pretty free to win the game. We just need to make sure there's no wild shenanigans that happen with the Arbok. Screech, neither here nor there. Our defense is already so good. Arbok's attacks really can't do a whole lot to us because we got those withdrawals up. And it doesn't really have much for stalling moves, so the poison shouldn't be too much of an issue. And we're going to go ahead and Surf, and that should knock out the Arbok, and we finally beat Agatha. So that was pretty fun. All right, and Lance was not any easier. Holy cow. So we have to, no other choice. We have to get a freeze on the Gyarados. Okay, I saw a clear path to beating Blue, or I saw a semi-clear path, I should say. So I refused to level up. And that stalled out this run a little bit longer as well. So we're level 41, a Snail going up against a bunch of Dragons. We get the freeze, which is sweet. Lance does not switch his Pokemon, so we're going to go ahead and use a bunch of withdrawals. This is going to help us for a couple reasons. One, all of Lance's Pokemon know Hyper Beam, and we don't want that smoke, so we're going to go ahead and make sure that those do nothing to us. And then also, we can't really do a whole lot against the Gyarados. We have Surf and Ice Beam, both of which don't really do anything, even though our special is great. We're level 41. I mean, we're at a very, very low level here. So after a few Surfs and a few Hyper Potions and whatnot, we're going to end up getting Gyarados down. Really, the worst thing that can happen at this point is Dragon Rage, because that's just going to do a set 40 damage to us. Whereas Slam or Hyper Beam, I believe with all of our withdrawals, won't do very much. So it was nice that the big baddie, the hard one to beat, was at the beginning, so I didn't have to get to the end and get whomped every time. But we do end up leveling up, which isn't very great, because then the Dragonair is going to outspeed us. But we are going to go ahead and use Ice Beam because it's super effective. And we have no HP, so we're not feeling too hot right now, but we get a lucky freeze. So this is the first time I ever got to this point, or one of the first times, I should say. So I go ahead and I was thinking for a minute, and I go, okay, well, I'm going to mimic Agility, because if we've got this low HP, we are going to need to outspeed everything. So even badge boosting aside, we just need the agility. So we go ahead and we use some agilities, and we go for Ice Beam. We knock out the Dragonair. We probably could have used Surf there, but whatever. We got plenty of power points. So we go ahead and use Ice Beam, and we get a nice critical hit. I don't think it mattered. I think with the badge boost, we would have made it. So then I opt to go for Surf, just to get the stab bonus as well. Both are super effective, but we do just a little bit more with the Surf. We get a critical hit. We're level 43, so that is great. Only 20 HP, so we're not out of the woods yet, but we do a 2-time super effective Ice Beam. It does not knock it out, but it misses the Slam. We don't get a Gen 1 miss. We hit the Ice Beam. So there you go. Snail versus a bunch of Dragons, and the Snail is victorious. Omastar. All right, guys, so this is a doozy. If you do not like me talking, if you are just here for results, you're going to want to skip to the very end, okay, because this goes on for a little while. So basically what happens here is I'm going to go ahead and just knock out the Pidgeot. I could set up withdrawals here, but there's a whole bunch of different strategies we did, and on this one I just said the withdrawals don't really matter because I'm going to level up right after this battle, and I can set up withdrawals on something else, but I just want to get past the Alakazam. The Alakazam was the biggest thorn in my side. Again, I'll talk about it later in the run and you'll see why. I tried a whole bunch of different strategies to get past the Alakazam in a good situation, but we get a Psychic, which is not great at low HP, but it goes for Reflect, and then we are able to freeze the Alakazam. That was so sweet to happen. And then since we're at such a low health, we're going to go ahead and Mimic Recover. because we cannot get through the whole thing with the health we have. So Alakazam is just chilling frozen. We are going to recover to get to full health. Once we do that, Surf does actually a surprising amount of damage to the Alakazam without me having any sort of boosting. I believe if I was 6 withdrawals in, it was about a 3-hit KO, which is honestly, pretty good. And 6 withdrawals in was a 1-hit KO with Hyper Beam. But I would have had to use a rare candy before, so I wouldn't level up. But anyway, we beat the Alakazam. We're feeling good. We're looking good. And we got a 1-hit KO on a Rhydon because it's 2 times weak to our stab, super effective water move. And then we go ahead and we Surf Arcanine. Leer is actually probably the worst thing it can do to us. We don't really want to see a Leer. Ember's 2-time weak to us, so we're not worried about an Ember, and our special's good. So then we go ahead and we knock out the Arcanine on the second Surf. Okay, so here is where things get a little dicey. If you look at the little ball on the screen that you can skip on, you'll notice we are about a quarter of the way through the video, and there's 2 Pokemon left. So why this happened is, 1, Sleep in Gen 1 is just ridiculous. It takes forever. You don't attack the turn you wake up. No fun. 2, Executor knows Barrage. So, and we have to set up Withdrawal. We want to set up Withdrawal because we want the badge boost for the Blastoise. And that's why we didn't use Withdrawal sooner in the run. So, once we use Withdrawal, we are going to try to chip away at Executor. We do have Recover. Now keep in mind, I'm going to be using Recover quite a bit and quite, I don't know the word. But, so basically Barrage, if it gets a critical hit, all of the barrages, all of the hits get critical, which this changed in the later gens. So a critical hit would ignore my withdrawals, and it would do a lot of damage. And if it hit 5 times, I'd be in a real tough spot. So I'm never going to let my HP get too low. Okay, so that's what we're going to be looking at for like the next 3 minutes here. So I want to talk about what happened before this. So I was doing live, and we were going with the strategy where I got rid of Ice Beam and I taught Hyper Beam, so I could just 1-hit KO, and I would outspeed the Alakazam with my badge boost. And so this is a whole different run. But I needed Hyper Beam to knock out the Alakazam in 1 hit so it wouldn't do anything to us. Okay, so then the Rhydon wasn't bad, the Arcanine wasn't bad. So then at that point, basically I was mimicking Horn Drill, and I was using a Horn Drill on Executor and Blastoise. But the issue we ran into is I could use it on Executor, but if I didn't use withdrawals before Blastoise, I wouldn't be fast enough, and in Gen 1, 1-hit KO moves won't hit unless your speed stat is higher than the opposing Pokemon's speed stat. So what ended up happening is we just needed a couple more levels to make some ranges a little more consistent or to be honest, possible. And we ended up hitting the Executor. We did withdrawals, then we hit the Executor with the 1-hit KO, and then we first hit the Blastoise with the 1-hit KO, and we were about level 49. But like right as we were hitting those 1-hit KOs in the live, we were all saying, I think we can do it lower. And it was very apparent we could. So in these runs, I will, if I see a clear path to victory, I will just keep running it until I can get that clear path. Now, if it's something like that Duo and it's nearly impossible and the luck would take me till the end of time, I'll save that for somebody else. But just real sidebar too, that live was amazing. Thank you everybody for showing me the love and support. I mean, that live was incredible. The gifts, the people, the interactions, the thought process, being able to share what's going on in my head with all of you, and then you guys giving me feedback and us trying different things. It was honestly, I think it was the most fun that I had in a while doing any of these things. So I'll try to go live more often, but that was amazing. So thank you guys, everybody who was there. And then right before this Executor goes down, I want to just share one thing with you guys. So the name Hyper Focus Info comes from, I get into these little, I call them micro hobbies. I get super into something, psych, it full restores. That's why this was so awful. This was so awful. But anyway, the name kind of comes from, I get in these micro hobbies, so I get really into stuff, and I just started posting them online. These solo runs where one of my hobbies, I'm getting pretty into MetaZoo, so you're going to see some content of that. 3D printing, you're probably going to see some content of that. I don't know what I'm going to get into next, but no matter what content you see, just know I will do all 151 Pokemon, so that will get done as I can. So don't think because I'm posting something else that I'm not posting these runs anymore. I will be posting these runs. So yeah, just know that I've just been getting super into MetaZoo. I think it's a super fun game. I love the artwork. So if you're not into it, sorry, but I'm going to be posting stuff like that too. Anyway, okay, so here we go. So we get the Executor down after this long old barrage. I want to be looking good though for the Blastoise. So I go for one more recover before I'm able to knock out the Executor. It goes for a barrage, only hits 2 times, which is perfect. And then I go for the Ice Beam just to knock it out. Now, I wasn't using Ice Beam very much against the Executor because I wanted to save him for the Blastoise. So basically at this point, it's not free. It's not over, because a couple Hydro Pumps can really put us out here. So I go for the Ice Beam. I'm hoping for the freeze, and look at that. Let me tell you, I was ecstatic. I needed a minute. This is sped up pretty quick. I was just like taking a breath there, not to mess anything up. This was crazy after everything I went through. I know I show you guys the good ones, but this was insane. This was very hard to do. We are going to have a world record for sure. Level 46. We were able to go through. Omastar is a GOAT. He is the man. She is the man. Whatever it is, that snail rocks. So we love it. Thank you guys so much.